your camera if you're eating. All right, we're good.
Okay, so tonight we're going to have discussions. The first one up is for the food service staffing. As you guys know, we have more students this year, and they're feeding approximately 500 students per day now. So Gina is requesting to hire an additional staff member to help out in there for a minimum of 3 hours. And she is saying a minimum of 3 hours because in the beginning it might be 3.5, but it will drop back down to 3. But she just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that as those needs were right now, it might be an extra 25 minutes or 15 minutes a day, or possibly an extra half an hour. And then we're going to advertise for subs. I believe Tracy did place that ad for the subs. And until we get staff in, Gina had suggested that we use Penn Ridge's food service subs if they are available, which may or may not be there. And she was thinking maybe about 4 hours a week just to help take some of the pressure off of the food service.
4 hours.
So she said that they have a tracking mechanism in place where they would clock in and out at Penn Ridge using a special account code. And then they would bill the tech school for reimbursement of those costs. So that's kind of where we are in food services. Anybody have any questions about that?
Anybody against that?
Sounds like a plan to me. As long as it works.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I think it sounds like a plan, and I'm not against it, I don't think.
What
We're
do we
going to
Okay.
talk about like, what's the pay rate set at and stuff. I mean, if we're going to go into this, it's wide open.
For the, I'm sorry. So the rate for the food service would probably be about $10.75. That's what we hired our last food service person for.
And how many hours a week did you say we need this person?
It would be 3 hours per day, so 15. I mean, it's a student day, so averaging 15.
Okay.
Okay.
I think, the more pressing concern at the next meeting that I might not be at is that you can't hire anybody because that pay rate is too low.
Well, then that all ties into the ESPA contract and, the wording in there of we can't hire anybody higher than what's in there. Tracy can probably give a little bit more information on that piece.
All right. Well, that's not important right this second, but yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then my second item is our postage machine. We had a contract with Pitney Bowes. It has expired, and we're currently paying $198 a month for the rental. We did reach out to 3 companies for quotes. One of them was Pitney Bowes, who did not respond to our requests at all. We did have a company come in and they're looking for a Q-Track 30 or 63. It's a 63-month contract, and the prices are for months 1 through 6 was $46.56 a month, and then months 7 through 63 was $145.43 per month. So the total over the 63 months would be $8,500, a little bit more than that. And then there's another contract or company called Quadrant. They had the same 63-month contract, and it was $168.99 per month. The machines were very comparable. For the Q-Track one, it would also include all their services for that too. So I would like to move forward with having that contract looked at by David and having it approved at the next JOC meeting in November.
And that, this is Chris here. That is just for the machine, right? Not the postage.
Correct. Right. We still pay for the postage. It's just that machine that, slides all the mail through and seals the envelopes and stuff like that.
Don't we get discount postage through the service as well?
For when we use the postage machine, yeah, there's a couple cents off on them. Like right now, I don't think Paulo is able to even load more money onto the machine. So we're kind of whatever's left in the machine is pretty much it at this point.
Okay.
Okay,
I'd say go with the one that you, internally, the staff, whoever's gonna be utilizing it likes best, because there's not that much of a difference in what it's gonna run us over that their contract.
okay. So then I'll send that out to David to review their contract, so it's ready for next month. For small engines, the small engine class is looking to clean up some of their area and sell off surplus items that via an online auction called publicsurplus.com. Apparently they have used that, or the school has used that also in the past. The surplus items were from local donations, from businesses and private individuals, and it could be tractors, mowers, engines, chainsaws, snow blowers. So they're looking to, sell off those items and having the students be really part of that whole process. So then they're also learning how to keep track of expenses on spreadsheets, create ads and pictures right up for the auction. And then the proceeds would go to the small engines student activity account to help pay for other like field trips or extensions of the classroom. So the auction is open to the public, which gives students, parents, anybody really, the opportunity to build it on those items. And all transactions will be done electronically. There will be no cash transfers at all. And there is also a section as is no warranty on those. In the past, it was managed by Joe Murphy, and it worked well according to Mr. Young. So he said he's willing to manage the auction site at this point if needed. So I'd like to know if the finance committee does support the small engine class selling the surplus through that platform.
I think it's a great
Oh,
idea.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Do they have a date yet? Yeah.
No, we wanted to, make sure it was okay with you guys first and start getting I think he started getting all the items listed together. So we're going to start working on that. I mean, part of the other piece too was that when the insurance company came through and walked through, there were areas that they did want us to start cleaning up and not having so much stuff around. So that will really help with that piece too. And then, what else do I have? As for informational, the audit is wrapping up with their field work. They're working on the closeout process, which should take a couple weeks. The AFR, the annual financial report, will be done on time, which is the end of October. I just talked to the auditors today. He said it looked like a very good audit, and he has a couple entries for me to make. So we're finishing that up. The budget process for 22-23 has started. So we will be gathering that information. I'm going to start working with the teachers, meeting with them one-on-one in the beginning of November, so we can start pulling those numbers together. And then the copier for graphics, that lease is up this year too. So Mr. McClung will start working on finding another machine. He had his OAC meeting, I believe, last week on the 14th. So he was getting input from, the members of his OAC too. So that's pretty much there.
And Teresa, this is Chris again. They don't typically buy those machines, right? They typically lease them just because of the technology changes.
Correct. Yeah. So I think by the time, I'm guessing it was a 5-year lease. I honestly don't know how long it was. I have to find a copy of the lease. I haven't been able to put my fingers on it at this point. I just found notes that said it was up this year. So yes, that they lease them. And then you guys went really fast through the stuff. And for the bills pending, does anybody have any questions on that? Or any of the financials? No? Okay, so that's pretty much it for finance. Has any other questions?
Anything to add? Chris? Anything on your end? Nothing extra?
I'm sorry?
Nothing extra on your end? Nothing you want to add?
No, not yet. Going to a lot of training on these ESSER funds, so that's been really exciting the last few days. So we're gonna start, pulling that grant information together too, so.
We get Gears funds, not ESSER funds, so you guys might be in the wrong,
She's in there.
meeting.
No, we got a 2.5% set aside that came out of those ESSER funds, so we did get the Gears, but we also get money for ESSERs.
Well, good. Lucky you went to the training so you could correct me on that.
So, all right, so that's it for finance then.
All right?
Okay. Thank you.
That's until facilities stuff. Right? No,
Facilities will be next, but it's not scheduled until 6:30.
round 2 at dinner.
Yeah, time for dessert.
I ate my dessert already.
I'm gonna pause the recording.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Do we want Jeff to read this off, or do we want, I guess we're gonna have to have Jeff read this off.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Great. On the facilities committee agenda, we have 5 items. The first one, we're looking at SSC custodial services. Bill met with SSC corporate manager on October 12th of 2021. He's, according to Bill, the owner or the supervisor will be sending a proposal of what they will be doing to adjust the invoice to allow for the lack of personnel that we lost 2 months ago. They walked through the building. We pointed out some of the issues along with, they talked to several faculty members, and he said he would have, upon request, a list of email timelines showing the frequency of communication about ongoing issues, which I haven't received. And he contacted several cleaning companies to explore our options. Brian Lee from SSC Corporate should be attending the meeting via Zoom. I do not see him on the list there. I don't know if he's there or not, Dennis.
I don't see anyone with that name.
Right, so there's a lot to be said with SSC. They're having a lot of issues bringing in personnel. We lost 1 personnel. I believe they were billing us 2.5 or 3.5 man hours. If you, Teresa might be able to correct me there. Lynn left about 2 months ago. So we've actually been down 1 person, and I know on the bills payable, there is a invoice to pay SSC the total amount for September, right? Teresa?
I have the check number, and the amount is $8,085.11.
Correct. That's for September.
That's for the month of September. And then according to Brian Lee from SSC, they want us to pay that, and then they were going to give us a reduction in the October invoice for the lack of the man hours.
We have that in writing.
And of course, the building not being, to our expectations.
Do we have that in writing?
I do not have it right here unless it wasn't presented to me.
In writing saying we're owed a credit. I think that's fair. And then you can pay it and then get the credit on the back end.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree. It's a good way to go.
I understand why. Cash flow, gotta change the invoice, whatever. It's only $8,000. They're gonna get it in the next 2 months anyway. I'm fine with the credit on the back end if that's the easiest way to the finish line.
okay.
But I don't think it's right that we hold any money we owe them.
I'll do that. I'll get it in writing and then,
If we get it in writing, if somebody comes on here tonight to agree to get it in writing, should we still hold this payment until we get that in writing? Or, because we have the payment on our bills to approve tonight?
We should hold it until we get something in writing, period.
And then Teresa, you'll write a check when we get that in writing to Jeff's sufficiency?
Yes, if that's what you want me to do, then we will hold it until we get what you guys want, and then Jeff will just tell me to release it, and then we'll release it, and it'll be on the next month's bill for you to do the official approval.
So you're gonna hold it for that whole next 30 days?
Well, typically we do hold it unless, you come up with another way saying that Jeff has, the authority to go ahead and
The whole work around here was like, it sounds like they wanted, their money now. And I was just trying to accommodate that.
So it could be a paid bill and authorized, and final authorization next month, right?
yes.
I don't care anymore.
Be a prepaid.
So wait, so moving forward though, then we're going to have enough staff?
We hope so, right, Chad?
Well, here's my problem. If we say, well, we'll deduct it from the next bill, but then they still don't have enough staff going forward, are we double deducting it from the next bill? Because then we get into a perpetual problem, right?
Well, yeah, there already is a problem, right?
Well, right, so my point is, we're saying, hey, we're gonna pay equal price, even though we haven't done everything we've asked you to do.
But we can't count to the next one. We're not gonna have to do this all over.
All right, so my point is, maybe we should be deducting, I kind of feel like we should be deducting it from the bill that it applies to, rather than deducting it from a future bill that we don't know necessarily what's gonna happen.
Doesn't sound like they're gonna get their money for 30 days anyway. So
Well, that's based on, so
yeah,
to
do it
your
that way.
point, then we might as well do it that way.
Then you
right?
might as well do it that way. That's kind of my point.
Then at least they get the majority of their money now, which is the part that they earned from the parts of the job that they completed.
Jeff, before I interrupted you, what was gonna be your proposition?
I mean, it's really up to you guys. If you want me to hold the bill out of the bills payable for this month until I get that proposal in writing, and then release them the check, and then figure out, the percentages that they're going to be taken off for the following month that they didn't provide the service for this past month.
So, you know what, I'm feeling different. I'm feeling like, go ahead and hold the check, because it forces them in the situation to negotiate with us if they want to get their money.
So.
Yeah, I would
confused.
actually suggest we pay them, we deduct the amount that should be deducted from this bill, since that's the service period that we're talking about. I would ask David Kahn if he thinks that we also need something in writing regarding that, or if we could just pay that portion of it, because we would agree to do that anyway. Do we still need something in writing to do that part? Because then at least they get paid for the services that they render.
Teresa, what's the difference in cost?
I'm thinking that when Bill had figured it out, he had told me it was about 20%. So, I mean, I can just take this check and take 20% off. Because I don't, like, I would have to read the contract to see exactly what they were promising. I thought it was 2.5 people, and then we were down 1. So that would be, 1.5. So.
That's more than 20.
That's us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my impression was that we were figuring this out for this meeting based on the discussion that we had, the
Yeah.
three of us had last.
Well, I guess if we can get numbers and we can put a definitive cost that we can pay them so they can get paid for the month of September with the reduction of what was lacking in hours, man hours, then write the check for that, what they provided in man hours, right? And then you hold wasn't provided. Makes logic to me. They did a service, but it was just not to the extent or the capacity.
And does our contract allow for partial payments due to?
Not necessarily.
I would think they would understand if they,
who breached first, they did, because their contract obligates them to provide a certain amount of man. So their breach of first, we have remedies when a party breaches. We're trying not to do it in a real formal like court way here, so that always runs a little bit of a, each side has an argument kind of a thing. We're doing it informally, like we're talking about doing this.
Well, this has been an ongoing problem.
I was just gonna say that.
And it's not like a new thing here. And if you're trying to, Jeff, so let me just understand, you said that later on next week, you're gonna be negotiating with CSC about, was it SSC? Sorry, SSC, about what to do about this missing person, and how much it's gonna cost moving forward, and for next month's credit. When is this meeting scheduled next week? Do you have a date?
I didn't get a chance to schedule it because of the issues going on in the school this week, and of course, me being out here. So I'll get on the phone with Brian Lee, later tomorrow and try to schedule a meeting for next week. I did see him in the building, I believe it was Monday, he was picking up equipment to take to another building, I guess, use, but it's his stuff, so.
So I guess the solution I would have then would be, we can pay this check only if a new agreement is reached for what the reduced cost per reduced services would cost us in the future. And this check would also have that same reduction. So we'll approve it pending the negotiated.
Right, but the negotiated fee would come to us next board meeting anyway, and then we decide whether we.
Well, no,
accept
we're
the
gonna approve
negotiated
this,
fee.
so if in 2 weeks they get this new negotiation drawn out, we'll approve.
But in order for us to approve the negotiated amount in 2 weeks, it needs to come before us in 4 weeks. You see what I'm saying?
He's just saying pre-approve
We
it,
pre-approve it.
like, right, but
So-
we don't know
How
what the
can we
difference is gonna come back.
How
Well, we don't
can
know.
we
We're not sure we're
we can't
gonna like the
pre-approve the deal, we
Yeah.
don't know what the deal
No, no,
is.
that's
Yeah.
I think I can, I know where Chris is coming from, it's not agree with, they have invoiced us for the full amount.
can we break down to a
It's
percent?
really easy for them and us to pay the full amount for Jeff or whoever, talk to the company and figure out how much we overpaid and have that applied to next month, along with next month, taking into account
The difference.
the difference in man hours.
I'm not comfortable overpaying right now with the hope that they're gonna
Well,
make
fair
a fair deal later. So
So-
I would say we either hold up the whole check or we pay the 80% of the check or whatever percentage we believe is owed, and then move forward. I mean, I can do either one of those. two
I'd like
things.
to discuss a certain aspect of this in executive session rather than going through the whole.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was kind of surprised we were discussing it now anyway.
Well, up to a certain point,
But I kept looking at you.
up to a certain point, it's fine, and now we get that point.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so
All right,
my suggestion would be to release the check after Jeff has a chance to talk to Jeff or whoever. Talk to the SSC. Talk to them and work something out going forward. And
my new
See where it goes.
suggestion now is let's wait and talk about it in executive
Yeah.
session and see what the
Let's
other
just
time
table
says.
this. This is not make a decision until.
Yeah,
find out.
yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Howell, this is just a committee meeting,
Right.
we'll decide on the final.
Okay, next topic.
Our building permit for our outdoor classroom, I'm waiting for the architect. We made some changes. I had my construction group look at the original drawings, so we adjusted the drawings and we're waiting for them to stamp it. Once he stamps it, then we'll be able to continue our outdoor classroom. The next topic, is there any questions on the outdoor classroom? I want to try to get that thing, rolling. It's already the fall and, we're in October. So I I hope that the changes that we made to the drawing will be suffice and we'll be able to move forward. The next issue would be our trash cost increase. We are just in the start of the present 3-year contract, but he needs to change the frequency of pickups to 3 times per week. And this is due to the amount of trash being produced due to the increased number of students eating at lunch. So the original contract, they were coming twice per week to pick up the trash. Now they are asked to come up 3 times per week, which is, I believe he mentioned $92, a $92 increase in a trash pickup because of our increase of students that we're serving in the lunch. We have over 500 students we're serving, 150 some that we had last year.
So is it $92 a month or?
Yes.
And can we just leave the lid open and let the bear eat it?
Yeah, I would, but then I have to be the one cleaning up all the paper that he leaves behind because he doesn't eat the paper.
Oh, okay.
He's that particular.
Yep.
So 3 times a week, how's that work? Yeah, but there's no here on the weekend, so
Hey, maybe if we go green with our paper, the bear will want to eat it.
what days are they coming?
You know what? I don't know.
Good question.
I'll check in and let you know about the days that they're coming, and then I'll get back to you on that.
I'd like to know which 3rd day we're paying for. Like, I just want to know the cycle.
Well, you can do Monday, Wednesday,
Monday,
Thursday,
Thursday.
Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah. We only pay for 4 extra days. That way it's every other day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Oh yeah, maybe it's
Tuesday,
literally every
Thursday.
business day or
It's
something.
literally every other physical day they're in here.
That actually makes sense, it's what it rotates, right?
I do make sense generally.
Okay,
Okay, we're good on that.
Garbage disposal schedule.
It was the extra cupcake, that was the incentive.
Next on the agenda are the AC units on the cafeteria roof. There's 2 units above the cafeteria that we've been nursing along for the last few years. I'm gonna have to go up Monday or Tuesday when I get back and look at the tonnage so I can start pricing them out. But Teresa and I have been out here, with the feds and the states and talking about our gears and ESERs. So that's one of the areas that we believe we might be able to use that funding for, but we have to, set out to get sealed bids. So we're going to be working on trying to get that done because we're a little, we need to get that rolling. So I'll go up there and look at the tonnage and try to get some pricing, and then we'll have to send it out just to try to get a ballpark. Because we have to start submitting some of our paperwork to the state and feds rather quickly.
So like, is that part of the roof involved in any of the roofing discussion that we've been having?
I don't think above that section of the roof was any of the discussion. I really let that up to Bill to take hold of that. So I didn't really follow him around and ask or look at where that is, but I know in that section, there aren't any, at this time, knock on wood, there aren't any leaks. Now, in the main cafeteria area where the roof was supposed to be somewhat new, we had a leak in that area, but I think it has been fixed or repaired since. So, and the AC units, they're single units, they're sitting on top of platforms. So the platforms are built above on top of the roof, and it looks like the last time I was up there a few months ago, it looked like the roof material was sealed over top of the platforms, and the units are sitting on vibrating legs. We would just take them off the legs and just set the unit back on the same area without disturbing the roof.
Okay. I think that's all. I was curious if it was gonna, to install them, to have to like bring in a crane to lift them, put it in a roof or something would maybe expensive or something. So just
It might be, I mean, I don't know what the extent will be, you know, so that's why I have to, you know, I'm gonna start that so we can start putting that pricing together.
And that was my same question that Dave had too, was if the roof is being considered for replacement, you know, what would need to be done, what should be done first, but, you know, I guess to utilize these, this federal grant money, that this ball needs to start rolling now, so.
Yeah,
I think it's a good use
absolutely,
of money.
absolutely.
I would just ask that we look at the capacities of the unit, maybe not just replace exactly what's there, but replace with some sort of a unit that moves more air, if you follow me. So it gets
Yeah,
more
well,
than what's there.
but I think the units up there are probably about 20 years old, somewhere in that range. All the new systems out there now are multi-stage units, which will, you know, and the RPMs of the fans are much are better, and they are very energy efficient. So yeah, the units that we put up there, we'll make sure we have the highest rating system that is out there
Yeah.
on the market.
For the space, it actually, sometimes when you put things in that have too much capacity, they actually work more inefficiently.
Well, that's not what I mean. I mean,
Airflow,
typically, 20 years ago, they designed these things, they engineered the air handling units to provide 10% fresh air, outside air. I never thought that was enough. I still don't think that's enough.
That's
Fresh air.
more outside, yeah.
So if we at least look at that to get more, make sure that there's a possibility of putting 100% outside air in. I don't know.
Well, you know, I know that in the industry, it was 20, we needed to bring 20% outside air in through the AC system, but we also had outdoor louvers that we could open 100%. So that would have increased at another percent on top of that 20. So you know, and that's basically what we have. We have one area where we have louvers that we have open 24/7 at 100% right now. So it's just sucking in the natural vacuum of the systems that are running will bring in the outside air through those dampers, and it actually comes through the room next to where you guys are sitting. If you take a walk in that boiler room, you'd see that the dampers are open and that fresh air is getting pulled in. So, you know, there are different ways to do that. But if you do add a system that's a high efficiency system and it has a high speed on the fan, you can suck in and cave in the ductwork. So I have to make sure it's, you know, everything is spec'd out properly.
That's all I ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I know someone that has some experience there, so I'll get on that.
I mean, it's better because the more outside air you bring in, the harder the system has to
The more
work. If you're bringing
humidity
in,
you can bring in.
right. and
Yeah, that's,
Hot
yeah.
air,
It's hot and humid, but if it's 65 degrees outside and 30% humidity, I got no problem bringing all that air inside.
oh, yeah, so,
yeah. Yeah, we'll put all the bells and whistles on it. We'll have all of the, you know, the humidity controllers. We'll get it all, we'll get it up to standards. Okay, and then the last part of this is the roof replacement follow-up. And he has on here Garland roof status. The roof is under warranty for the next 30 years, but I was reading somewhere that the warranty will go into effect when we, or the JOC makes a decision on which option to go with, option 1, 2, or 3.
my impression was that he was coming here to talk to us today.
I was hoping. I'm hoping that someone will be here, you know, in the regular meeting. That's what Bill, you know, told us that was going to happen. So He hasn't been in the last couple of days.
Because I'd like to have that conversation before we move forward with that, but.
Okay. And that's all I have. If there's no other discussions on facilities.
So I honestly, it's been 30 days. I feel like there's been zero progress made on the roof issue.
Whatever.
Except Megan watched a bunch of video.
Which, by the way, conveniently, the parts of the video I needed to see in a couple of the meetings were not recorded. But I appreciate that you brought the topic back up in finance, which was recorded, so I got to at least see the review of what I missed from the recording from the facilities that wasn't there. So thank you for bringing it up again under finance. 'Cause I didn't get through all the videos I wanted to, but what I can say is that it was Dewey who put Bill in touch with Garland to begin with, and encouraged him to reach out to Garland to see about the warranty issue and whether or not, what would need to be done, and have them come out and look at it and give us specifics. So they were a little confused as to why there was a suggestion that, they didn't bring in Garland or might not have communicated with Garland, because clearly they had communicated and they were the ones who actually gave us the phone number and put us in contact with him. So, they were a little surprised to hear that we would have any perception that they weren't in communication with Garland. So that's why I think it's important
Clears
for
up a few
us.
things.
Yeah, so that's why I think it would be important, for us to talk to Garland and hear from them, since they're the ones who we would be working with going forward, and make sure that we're all on the same page, because it seems like there's been a lot of he said.
Is there anything?
Okay, well, I'll get a hold of Garland, and I'll get on top of this now as well. And that would be the.
So this whole roof
facilities.
get delayed a whole other month. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Preferring to bring them in November now, right? Is that what just happened?
Well, hopefully it's only be here
Unless they'll be
today.
here.
Okay, all right, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm putting the cart before the horse. Let's see.
Unless the horse is pushing a cart.
Sorry, Jeff, wrap it up if you like. No, if you're done.
If that's all I have for facilities. Thank you. We're right on time, so we're gonna be moving into, we have 3 minutes to move into programs.
I ate my cupcake.
It was good.
Yeah, it's delicious.
They're good cupcake.
I know they
I'm
are.
gonna be around.
You have one for each.
I had one.
No, Megan, you want to check this for education curriculum policy? Education curriculum? Yes.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
right.
Are we ready, Mr. Holland? I think so.
Yep.
Thank
Yes.
you, committee members.
You want to have a report?
So we're gonna begin with the comprehensive plan timeline is progressing and it's updated on our board docs. Our 3 goals are curriculum, culture and climate, and enrollment and attendance. Our exercise science update, the minutes from our first meeting are also attached on board docs for your review. We have a meeting scheduled for Monday, November 1st at 11:30. Mr. Sweeter will begin entering the program approval information into the state system. Our animal and veterinary technology science program certification update. That was I need to take a breath in between, it was a hard one. Mrs. Danka is currently working on this certification. She's already completed the first of 3 sections on October 11th. Nice job, Mrs. Danka. She will be given professional days during the school day to complete the rest of the sections. We anticipate submission by the end of the school year and full accreditation by NAFTA during the summer. Baking and culinary update. The Baking and Culinary Occupational Advisory Committee met on October 14th. We're in the process of reviewing and summarizing the minutes from this and our other programs. And that's my report for the program update.
And just a little bit of an update. You know, I was able to attend the OAC meetings for bakery, for the baking and culinary, and yeah, get
That's why
some.
the minutes aren't ready yet, they're still typing.
Actually, you know what? I would bet that Diana's are ready because she just plugs in as she goes. It was the most organized meeting I've ever been to. She's got it all sequential in there, and she just pops in like the fill in the blank of what's going. Her meeting minutes, I feel like, were done by the end of the meeting because she had it so well organized and prepared. So you know, so just throwing that out there. But it was really interesting to hear the different perspectives. I wanted to hear the feedback from a lot of the OAC members on what value-added tasks they suggested, including. I was hoping for some consistency, but the answers were really all over the place as far as like what people's different suggestions are. You know, when we had met with the teachers, there had been a discussion about, you know, there being an advantage to waiting until year 3 instead of year 1 to add the value-added tasks, because then they had the basics down to be able to do some more accelerated things in one program or the other. It was interesting to hear some of them said the opposite in that OAC meeting and said, hey, wouldn't it be great to combine at the beginning when they have a lot of skills that they're learning that are the same, and then kind of branch off in year 2. And so I was like, well, that's kind of where we were, and then we ended up here, and then, you know, so there was also some feedback from one of the OAC members who just recently went through the college program. And so her suggestion was that she thought there was a huge benefit to having a base in both, because when you go into the college program, they require you to do both. And so she felt like she would have had, you know, she would have been more prepared if she had had more experience in both areas by the time she had gone into the college program. Now, I don't know, you know, necessarily the specifics of the program she had, but Mr. Herrera and I were kind of talking about this, and you know, this kind of evolved. He had made the suggestion, and one of the people we had on the call was from Bucks County Community College, so it was helpful to have him there to kind of bounce these things off of. And what we figured out is that there's actually an intro to culinary and an intro to baking, and both of our classes actually currently qualify for those credits. So our baking students are qualifying for the intro to culinary credits and intro to baking credits, and vice versa. So our students are actually getting that. The other thing that was helpful to kind of figure out in this process, I know we've heard a lot of feedback about culinary does so much more and their task list is so much longer. But in going through this process, it became more clear to me that that's not actually the case. You can break down a task into 10 more specific tasks, you know, and make your list longer, but you're still completing that one thing. So what I think we have is just different ways of communicating what the tasks are. I feel like the baking program lists more broad categories in their tasks, which encompasses a lot of the smaller tasks, where I feel like the breakdown, you know, it's broken down into the specific components that make up a specific task in culinary. So I guess my point is I don't feel like it's lopsided, and the baking program is actually covering more culinary than I would have expected. You know, enough that they're able to get a semester worth of culinary credit. And so those are the basics kind of going in, which is why, you know, they're really learning a year's worth of stuff that's the same, because they're learning the basics in both of those programs. So, you know, I think what we need to kind of figure out going forward is I mean, we can have them co-teach, we can have them work together so that they're getting a little bit of different teaching experiences, working together. We can have them go one semester, like have them go back and forth a semester to a semester, because they're already teaching both of those things, at least a semester worth of the other program. We could just try to do what we were talking about with adding some value-added tasks. We could try to do some more of a pathway approach for our kids so that they are able to go back and forth with the different things that they want to learn so that they're more well-rounded for the experience they want and crafted according to them. We can pick specific tasks where we say, you know what, let's just have them get exposed to the baking program and learn how to do X, Y, and Z, and have them learn how to run the kitchen for a period of time so they get that experience in a shorter period of time. So that way they at least get exposure to both directions at some point. So, you know, all of this kind of just happened, so we don't have a definitive direction. That's kind of just my summary and all the different directions we can go, but I'd be interested in hearing the feedback from everyone in here, you know, to help us kind of bring something back to you next month as far as a direction to go, but I kind of want to
Does the
hear what you think
OAC
first.
give like a written summary of what their guidance is on how we should move the program forward as well?
They didn't have that, there wasn't consensus. There were a lot of different opinions, but there wasn't really like, this is our recommendation. Do you know what I mean?
But I mean, the official, I was asking Dr. Herrera here, the official OAC, you know, when they have their OAC meetings, each one of these programs, does the OAC usually submit something in writing then at the end to where their recommendations should be, where the program it moves forward or is headed?
Yeah, so that's what we're reviewing and analyzing right now.
So they take votes in the meeting on things. This wasn't a topic that was voted on. It was just a discussion topic. There are other things that they specifically voted on. So those would be the things that would be probably reflected a little bit more clearly. The other thing is when we talked to PDE about this, the feedback from PDE was, if you're going to add value-added tasks, those value-added tasks have to get approved through the OAC, which is what sent us in that direction. But what we found out is all of those tasks are already listed. You can fit them under anything that's already there. So we don't, in both programs. So we don't actually need the OAC to add anything for us to do any of these things we've talked about, because we already have that flexibility in the task lists that they already have.
The prerequisite of Delta, or was it Buckstown Community College, right?
The person who was there was
Yeah.
Bucks County Community College.
And you said that they have a course that is essentially like a prerequisite course that where you learn all of this nitty-gritty stuff. Can't we just like mimic that class and it's you know, matched up to what's comparable here in Pennsylvania that's approved?
Well, what the
Or
problem
with a
is,
course that-
PDE has approved, you know, SIPs, that approved, you know,
Class.
task lists, what they need.
So we are covering all of that same material. We may not be covering it in a specific semester of the 4 years, but all of the material that's being covered in the intro to culinary and the intro to baking, we are covering. And so that's why they get those,
My point
they
though is that's the
qualify out of
overlap.
it.
That's the overlap we're looking to teach at one time between the baking and the culinary.
Well, the discussion was, is there a benefit to them getting exposure to each different teacher and the way they teach? Like, would you rather your culinary kids learn those baking specifics from the baking teacher and the culinary specifics for the baking program from the culinary teacher because of their different areas of expertise? Or is it something where they're both learning all of those things anyway, and we want our baking kids to get some experience in what it's like to run a kitchen, and our culinary kids to get some experience actually making some of those finer baked goods, maybe doing some cake decorating, you know, the kinds of things that they wouldn't actually be getting to in their program.
I think my original vision was a lot of that overlap would be handled together. And then each student after so long would be able to break off into their desired pathway, right? Whether it's going to be culinary or it's going to be cooking, right? But that common ground the first year, the first, 3 semesters or something, it's all co-teaching, but that common ground prerequisite stuff, which we may be able to get them accredited at Bucks County Community College later on. Like, that sounds like that's the overlap. So I guess that was my image for where we were headed.
And I think there's 2 ways to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. You could either have them co-teach for the first year and cover all the material in intro to culinary and intro to baking for that first year, and have them co-teach and go back and forth and work all together. Or you could say, we're going to have one group learn the intro to baking part from Diana semester 1, and the other group, you learn the intro to culinary stuff from Jim Gersick year in semester 1, and then the second semester they flip-flop, and then by year 2, they could branch off in one direction or the other after they've had that exposure. That's another way, there's 2 ways to accomplish the goal that you're looking for.
So my question is, this sounds like you're combining 2 zips, 2 classes, whatever, 2 curriculums, and I don't know the state's gonna allow us to do that.
Well, so we did specifically ask those questions to PDE, and PDE said that a baking certified teacher can teach the baking, anything that she is certified to teach under baking to the kids in culinary, as long as it falls under culinary, which it does. So we are already covering that
Okay,
material.
I would like to see more specifics on this, what PE says is good to do.
Can the kids do different SIPs though? Can you go
Yeah.
from one SIP track to the other?
No, so they wouldn't be switching a SIP. So let's say we
They're all doing
register,
overlapping.
let's say 50% of our kids register as culinary and 50% of our kids register as baking, right? But the kids who are under culinary can learn the stuff that falls under intro to baking that they're already learning in culinary. They could switch
Without
over
leaving the SIPs?
and without changing SIPs, they could switch over and learn that to Diana, because Diana is also certified to teach that, and vice versa.
Okay.
So both of them are certified to teach both of those things, so they would still stay under that one SIP. And then year 2, that's when they would decide, hey, maybe I want to change SIPs, or I want to stick with the SIP that I originally thought I'd end up with.
Mr. Romano, is a point when we reviewed the Bucks County curriculum, we found that both programs get both of those intro courses because it's covered currently the way as it stands.
So there's actually 2 intro courses at Bucks County Community College, one for each, not a common one.
No, there's an intro to baking, and then there's an intro to culinary, it's called something else, but both of our students, and like the culinary students get both of those intros, baking and culinary, already in the class the way it stands. And vice versa.
Well, that would be great. Again, I'm pushing for college credits if we can finagle it in there.
And that's who we're lucky to have, Northampton Community College and Bucks County, and both of them, that's what we're lucky to have them on the OAC.
Whatever I think that should be one of the end goals. I think it will be productive as well as efficient.
What are you talking about, an articulation agreement with those? We both for,
Yeah,
Yes.
we have that.
you have it already? Dennis might
Yes.
also.
Mine went down and just went back up.
And so I think, I do think they have, both classes have a very different style of accomplishing it, and so I do think that there's a benefit to them getting exposure to both, because they are literally polar opposite in how they do things. And I think, I think it's helpful to have that. I mean, just like anything else.
Also in the real world, that you generally don't have just one boss. So, it's good to know how to work with more people.
Okay, good. I think
All right, so I think
we're
we have the
scheduled for another
direction, so
meeting
we'll-
Thank you all.
7:15. So-
Thanks, Mike.
Did
Thank
anyone
you.
else have anything before we go? Do we have consensus on that direction? Is that what everybody wants
I
to?
didn't hear much direction, but
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking, I'm like, I don't know which direction that was.
So was it doing it together for the first year, or
Well,
was it having them switch from one to the other in the first year so they get they get instruction kind of from?
Well, I thought it was wait until we get the notes from
you
the
always say,
OAC and then make that decision.
Well, the notes from the OAC,
well, then the OAC is gonna have to meet again.
No, they already met, they just haven't
But
finalized their
Yeah,
recommendation.
If they didn't have time to get
But
through
they didn't-
everything, they're gonna have to.
they
meet
didn't
again.
make there weren't any
I
recommendations.
don't think the OAC is gonna be able to tell us the
This-
best way for our teachers to work together.
And I agree, like, honestly, that was kind of what came out of this is the discussion that we were supposed to be having with the OAC was what specific value added tasks to add, because that's what they cover. They cover whether or not they should be learning different things in their task lists. They already both of those incorporated both of those things. So there really isn't anything for the OAC to do. Their job is already done because they're essentially saying, well, look, it's already in there. The baking already has.
How we're gonna get to the end is up to us.
Right.
That's nothing to do with that.
Exactly. That's.
the decision.
So the question is year 1 or year 3, and whether or not we want that to.
Co-teach
to
or
co-teach.
teach 2 separate classes.
Right.
Well, I'm not comfortable to saying that. I'm not,
That's the decision where we are right now, and we move on.
But
Which is-
I'm wondering when that decision needs to be made for next year's plan.
Thank you.
There's no action required at this point. We're going to continue
I mean, at
to.
some point. you-
Yes.
If we needed to make it, I think the idea was to make it by at least by next month, because
Take someone.
we're gonna be reorganizing after that, and we have board members who are switching off. And then we'd be kind of starting the topic fresh with new people from the beginning again, so.
And I would like to see this issue come to a close on iWatch.
Well, I know that was kind of a direction that was set, and so, Mr. Herrera and I were kind of following the timeline that the board had set at the end of last school year, because that was kind of the direction we were given in the programs committee meeting and in the vote from the JOC meeting, was to bring this to a close by the end of this cycle, you know, to be, courteous to the members who've been a part of this whole time and want to see this come to an end result by the time they leave.
okay.
Well, I think that timeline works pretty good then for the next meeting, because it gives us time to digest if any notes came out of the OAC. And then also, we still have the one more meeting, so any further input that would come from the teachers, knowing now after tonight that next month is the deadline that we're gonna be making this decision. So if they want to give any further input, if they have now these next 30 days to do it.
Okay, so there's information to be gathered from PE and from teachers.
I think we got.
OAC and bring it over here.
I mean, you keep wanting us to regather the information we already have, so I don't know. Well, we set up a Zoom meeting and had a conversation with them directly, so it wasn't in writing.
I want to see something come from PDE that says we can do what you said, or what we want to do.
Well, I think we need something that would say we
So
can't do. what
before we
want.
can do that, we need to hear from the OAC and from the administration what they want to do.
I mean, typically you ask typically the administration, and typically you talk to PDE, you ask them questions, they give you answers, you don't usually follow up and say, excuse me, can you put in writing what you sent to us? I mean, I'm not lying, and there were administrators in on the call, so I'm not sure what you're.
Right, though, going back to the OAC, I think our request from them is done. Yeah, I don't think the OAC has any more value they can add to this process.
Okay. All right. One, we'll see what happens, okay?
Well, the clock's ticking now. Everyone now knows by next month, we will have this decision.
And if the teachers have anything they want to say to the board about this process moving forward and what they have expectations of, feel free to email us all, because we want to know what the 2 teachers involved have to say as well. They've spoken to you and Jeff at length, I'm sure, but they haven't spoken to us, and here we are making this decision. I really find value in any feedback they have, whether good or bad, about what we're doing.
Okay. I think we have another committee meeting.
Yes, I'll be brief. Thank you all for that discussion. October policy updates for second reading, which is on board docs and which is included for public input. We have promotion and retention, care of school properties, and the changing of relations with law enforcement from the 200 to 800, 805.1. Is there any, we've gone through committee and first reading, there's been no discussion or dialogue. Is there any questions or comments on this section of policy? Hearing none, last month in committee, we talked about student rights and responsibilities, surveys, and the the student assistance program, electronic devices, and bullying, cyberbullying. And these policies are included on board docs for first reading tonight. There was no discussion last month. Any questions or concerns on any of these policies?
I guess the only questions I would have regarding these policies is, are there any, sometimes PSBA will give options where they'll say, you can do this or this, and then we kind of pick something that's our best judgment and put that in. Are there any that were, where they gave you more than one suggestion or that were optional as opposed to this is a recommendation?
And I'm going through the notes, to answer very specific. Not to my knowledge in those sections. In committee, we do have a couple of those comments where we're asked to check something.
Well, yeah, without looking, the only one I think might, I don't know if it does or not, but of this list, the only one where I would think to look specifically would be the cyberbullying, which may actually have an election. It may not, I just don't know. And that's first reading this month anyway.
Yes, first reading.
So
We can look into that. And in this particular case, we deleted some of the language specifying the disciplinary actions, as that's more procedural, and that'll be in, not in our policy, but our procedures and regulations. And same thing with deleting on how reports of bullying are made by staff, investigations and the provision, that's more clearly articulated in the administrative regulation. I will double check that to make sure that there was no choices for next month.
Which one was the cyberbullying one again? Was that in?
249.
Because I do recall, because we actually, it's funny you mentioned the cyberbullying one, because that's actually one that we just had discussion about at our IU meeting on Tuesday night with an optional piece.
Right.
Okay.
Which had to do with whether or not PSBA had suggested you could, as an optional piece, that you could remove the language of whether or not the policy covers bullying outside of the school.
Off campus.
Right, and, we opted to keep the language in, because if you recall, a few years back, they had recommended adding the language in, because we're responsible for that outside of that. That recent court case, they're using to kind of question whether or not we are or aren't, and so they said it's optional. But, we opted to be, to protect kids and keep that language in, which would be what I want to do here, but I need to find that specific spot.
I'm looking at board docs here.
Okay.
And it looks like only 206, 218, 218.1, 218.2 are listed. And then you will need to sign in that sections as well. Yeah, I don't see that one listed here, the 249. In board docs.
It's under draft.
It's first. So I have time.
Oh, I gotta look under policy. I gotta go straight into the policies.
You want to go to the drafts?
Yeah, that's in a real.
Mr. Nolan, can I share my screen, please?
We are running it fast. Look at that. Okay, 249, bullying cyber.
Yes, you're good, Mike. This is the correct one.
I remember it was on page.
Yeah, so this does include some of those elections. I thought it did.
Oh, here, you
Yeah,
can
this
read it on that.
this is bigger.
There's the house.
Right, it has a couple, mayor shall.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is worth looking at. They're all in this draft, so we can still do the first reading tonight and folks can decide which election they want for the second.
Sorry, was the edits, because I can't scroll up and down, change so that we are protecting our students outside school?
This one, I think with this version does not. And the reason this has come up is because of that Supreme Court case, which basically says kids have first amendment rights outside campus.
Right, but that was talking about, that had to do with kids disparaging the school
Uh-huh.
off of school property,
Right.
not bullying students,
Yeah,
which I would have a different, perspective on as well, you know, I would not be punishing a kid because they badmouth the school at home on their, you know, Facebook page, but, if they're bullying and harassing another student, that's something that I, you know.
As far as I'm concerned, if the student is being bullied in your school and can demonstrate that it's interfering with their experience at school, that's enough for me. I hear you, I don't disagree, but that's why PSBA has been questioned.
Right. So however the language is,
Okay, so these are on the agenda for first read
Right.
tonight. Yep. I would suggest everybody take a look at them. So before we approve a second read, we know what we're doing.
I got a feeling Jim's gonna have us out of here by 9 o'clock tonight.
I'm working on it.
Yes. We'll keep an eye on the clock.
Yeah, but we didn't.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, it would be problematic if the stuff we were choosing wasn't even in the draft, but because it's all in the draft, it's fine. We can say we're gonna keep this and not keep that.
And we can always push it back another month too.
Yeah, that's also true. Right, but if we make the decision next month, then everybody's on board, it's fine. We don't have-
Okay, the new policies for committee, I have 2 minutes, I'm really doing my best to keep everyone on track. Assignment to programs, student discipline, and weapons and terroristic threats. The 218.1 and 218.2 is the really updated ones, because they just came out recently, and that's why we made sure that we included the most updated ones where there's a threat assessment team language in there. So when we attached it, we used the latest version. Any questions, comments, or on these set of policies?
Everybody's gonna take a look at it the next month. Yep, our first read next month. First read next month?
Yes. Yes. Okay, hearing none, I thank everyone for your time. Appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, executive session is next, right?
Yeah, I guess it's best to just not record it in the first place, right?
Do we wanna go in the other room?
Okay, meeting is being recorded. Okay, welcome to the October 21st JOC meeting. We'll begin it with a salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up would be the roll call.
Mr. Hallowell,
I am here.
Ms. Janice Clemens, here. Mr. Spear,
Here?
Mr. Clement,
Here.
Mr. Klein. Mr. Philiak,
Here.
Mr. Akmatowicz.
Here.
Mr. Ott,
Here.
Mr. Reese,
I'm here.
Ms. Mitchell,
Here.
oh, that's a nice mixture. 9.
9 present. Okay. Next up would be comments from the audience on agenda items. You didn't have any sign up or anything? Do we have it? Sign up?
Do we have any on Zoom?
There's nothing here. Anybody in cyberspace wish to speak?
We're at the people that are in our room right now.
Okay. I don't see anyone. Anyone else? Have any audience? Nothing? All right, we will move on. We need to announce that there was an executive session prior to this meeting for basically personnel and legal matters. Next up would be the administrative reports. First up is the student of the month. Who's doing that?
That's me. Thank you, Mr. Hallowell. Good evening, everyone. Kira Barnhart, a senior in the Machine and Engineering Technologies program, has been named the Student of the Month for October at the Upper Bucks County Technical School. She is the daughter of David and Mary Missy Barnhart of Coopersburg and attends Palisades High School. Kira works at B. Braun Medical Inc. as part of the Cooperative Education Program as a machinist in the mold shop. Kira has earned the OSHA 10-hour manufacturing certification and several NIMS certifications in her program and receives excellent evaluations from her employer. The NIMS is the National Institute of Metal Working Skills, similar to the NOCTI, but for machining students. Kira has been a Skills USA district competitor, winning the gold medal in the 2020 job interview competition and also attended the Skills USA Professional Development Leadership Conference. Kira is also a member of the Palisades High School Cybersonics First robotics team. In the community, she is a member of the Danborough 4-H Community Club and participated in a mission trip to Montana this past summer through the Living Hope Community Church, where she assisted adults with special needs. Upon graduation, Kira is exploring enrollment in the Pennsylvania Registered Apprenticeship Program offered by B. Braun Medical Inc. Here, on behalf of myself and the Upper Bucks County Technical School Staff Administration and Joint Operating Committee, we want to congratulate you and wish you all the best on your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed that you're on the call. Is there anything you would like to add to all that? You sound like a jack of all trades there.
I came to the tech school to learn more about machining because I became interested in it through the robotics team at Palisades, and it's been a great experience since I've been there. I've learned so much, and everyone's been so nice and supportive of everything. So thank you.
Thank you. We're lucky to have you, kiddo. Congratulations and all the best.
Next up would be the director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Hallowell. This week, we've started our 8th grade tour, started October 19th, running till tomorrow. So we've had Palisades, Quakertown, and Penn Ridge coming into the school. 8th graders are visiting all of our programs to see what we have to offer. Our open house is scheduled for November 4th. We're going to have in-person open house, so that we're looking forward to the open house November 4th, starting at 5:30 till 7. Our small engines program, we had 2 Everrood engines that were donated through the ABYC, the American Boat and Yacht Council. The Marine section of the curriculum started in Mr. Young's class 2 years ago. The Everrood engines, or FFI technology, there are OAC members from Highway Marine, and Maryland is currently working on getting students to be able to job shadow at Highway Marina. And the cost to Upper Bucks County Technical School for these 2 engines will be the shipping and the optional tool package. So, we're working on, land and sea and air in Mr. Young's program. So, he's working very hard to get, all aspects of that covered at this time. We also are working with the Bucks County Community College on solidifying more articulation agreements for multiple programs. We are we're starting to get the agreements together now. So I'm hoping that within the next few days that I can report out all of the programs with the additional credits towards Bucks County Community College. We did have a pond dedication last Wednesday at 4 p.m. for Mr. Penny Hallowell, who has passed. He was one of the original founders of the Upper Bucks County Technical School back in 1964. He served on the board for several years as the president, and he was very instrumental in bringing this school, to life. And it was a great opportunity. So if you have an opportunity at the end of tonight, board members, if you take a walk over there, it probably looks really, really pretty right now with the lights on. I don't know if it's raining there. I know it's raining here, but it's something to look at. And as of last Friday, we have 197 ninth graders in our building, 257 10th graders, 182 11th graders, and 156 12th graders, for a total of 792 students in our school. So our enrollment, as you can see, has been increasing. So we have 333 students with IEPs and 504s, and we're working very hard, and these students are doing a great job, as well as my faculty and staff. An update on the JOC's recommendation. Dr. O'Connell and I met with Dr. Hoffman, Dr. Malamus, Dr. Haller, Chad Evans from the IU last Friday, October 15th, to formulate a plan concerning school climate, professional development, Act 93 job descriptions, as well as analysis on the administrative staffing. The IU is currently mapping out a scope of work for the position review, and they're putting a timeline schedule for interviews with each identified Act 93 member to interview each one of my administrative members of the team. And they're expected to give us a date, a final report recommendations. The Upper Bucks County Technical School Climate Team will be meeting with Dr. Haller and Ron Rowland and Chad Evans on Monday, October 25th, regarding the needs of programs and services team to support the joint operating requests related to staff training, surveys, professional development, as well as the National School Climate Center. Ron Rowland is a certified National School Climate ambassador, so they'll be working with us starting on Monday. Our food truck health inspection was last Monday, and yes, it passed. So now we're officially going to put it out on the road, and it will be out this Sunday, October 24th, at Truger's Farm in Kittnersville from 10 to 5. And then next Sunday, October 31st, at the Old Stone Farm in Easton, Pennsylvania, from 10 to 5 as well. So we're pretty busy here at the school, and our students and staff, faculty are doing a great job, and that's what I have for you, sir.
Any questions, additions?
Do you have students going out on the lunch truck, since they're both on weekends then?
Yeah, Chef Gersick has a few students that are volunteering to go out with him. I don't know the amount. I don't know who they are or how many there'll be, but he did say that he has a few of the students going with him.
Anybody else? Questions? Next on the agenda is a review of the health and safety plan. Is that Jeff? Bridget?
It was requested to put on the agenda every month. Really nothing has transpired between last month to this month. So we're following the health and safety plan as is.
It's a placeholder in case you want
Okay.
to make a change. Interim.
Okay. Is that it for the administrative reports, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll move into the subcommittee reports. Facilities is first. Mr. Sweet, I guess.
All right, in the facilities committee headed by Mr. Spear, Mr. Ott, and Dave Reese, and Mr. Reese, we talked about SSC service solutions, custodial service. We're trying to come up with, a recommendation to move forward with our cleaning service. We spoke about our building permit for our outdoor classroom, waiting on our architect to finalize our drawings that our construction teachers have. We made some corrections that we'd like to see done, so we're waiting for that. And as soon as that gets this rubber stamp, we'll start building that. The students will start building it. We talked about the increase of trash due to the increased amount of students coming to the school for lunch. So we contracted 2 days a week, and that will be up to 3 days a week to pick up the trash. We also spoke about air conditioning units up on the cafeteria roof area, 2 systems that need to be replaced. And we're hoping to use some of our federal funding, or some of our federal funding to cover the cost of those 2 systems, which would be high efficiency systems and updated systems as of this time frame. And we also talked about the roof replacement and follow up prior, and we are still in talks with the roof as well. So, we covered a lot of issues, and we're going to continue, into next month. And that's what I have for facilities.
Anybody have anything to add? Question? No? Being none, next up would be the finance subcommittee. This is still there somewhere. There she is.
There I am. So tonight we had an update on the food service staffing due to the number of students with having Quakertown come on. We are going to advertise to hire 1 more additional person to work in food service. We're also advertising for subs. There's no sub pool available right now. And we will also be looking to utilize some of Penn Ridge's food service subs if and when they are available. And then Penn Ridge would bill the tech school directly, and we would reimburse them for any hours that we would use for subs. We are going to look at a new postage machine contract. Our current one with Pitney Bowes has expired. I'm going to forward the contract for a Q-Track machine. It's a 63-month contract. I'll forward that over to Mr. Khan for a review, and then to have on the board for a motion in November. The small engines class is looking to do an auction of their surplus items using online auction platform publicsurplus.com. The students will be involved in setting that up and creating ads and the pictures and the write-up for the auction. We're going to work forward for that. The audit is completed. The AFR is expected to be done by the end of October, before the due date. And then the budget process has started. We're getting the forms all together. I'll start meeting with teachers in the beginning of November to go over their budget requests. And the copier for graphics is up this year, and Mr. McClung will start looking into finding a replacement for that machine in his classroom. And that was it.
Anything to add? Question? Anybody? Okay. Next up is policy subcommittee.
We reviewed 3 sets of policies. The second reading policies were endorsed and approved to go to second and final reading tonight. The first reading policies, we discussed 5 of them. I was directed to go back to ensure that we are fully protecting our students and making sure that all of the boxes checked is at the highest level, and I'll report back to the board at next month's meeting. And then finally, we discussed the block that was on committee, and there was no discussion. And next month it'll be moved to first reading.
Ed, questions? Okay. Next up and finally is the program subcommittee. Take that.
We reviewed the comprehensive plan timeline, which is progressing nicely. We've identified the following goals: curriculum, culture and climate, and enrollment and attendance. We then reviewed our exercise science program. Our next meeting, our second meeting is scheduled for November 1st at 11:30. We reviewed the minutes from the first meeting. Mr. Sweeter will begin entering the program approval process into the state system. We then talked about the NAFTA, National Association of Vet Techs of America certification, who Mrs. Danka has been working on. She's already completed the first of 3 sections on October 11th. He'll be given some professional development days during the school day to complete the rest of the sections. We anticipate submission by the end of this school year and full accreditation by NAFTA during the summer. We appreciate Mrs. Danko's effort and with this. Baking and culinary update, we're in the process of reviewing and summarizing input, and our goal is to bring it back to the next meeting along with teacher input from our instructors, and a careful review next month. That's my program committee report, and I don't know if there's anything to add, but I thank you.
Anything to add? Questions? Okay. That takes care of the committee report. We will move on into the action agenda, which starts with the consent calendar. So we would need a motion to approve the consent calendar, which includes the September minutes, the September financial reports, and the October bills payable and personnel recommendations.
I'll make a motion for approval of discussion for 7 and it's sub items.
A, B, C, D.
Yeah, want to discuss it all as a whole, but we should get a second
We
first.
need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, and I'll make a motion to table consideration of check number 541566.
I'll second it.
No discussion on the motion to table, so just call for it on that.
I also wanted to bring up.
Well, wait, let's call the vote on the motion to table. And
We need to vote on.
yes,
Okay.
but you just called.
Just got a motion to table, check number, whatever.
541566.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that portion of the motion is tabled. Now we have discussion on the rest of the motion.
Yeah, the personnel recommendations. I noticed that there is an hourly rate listed for compensating the people in the truck. What was the policy last year, Jeff, on this particular topic? And the year before, because we've had the truck out for 2 years. Yesterday, I don't think the truck made, last year, I don't think the truck made it out on the road much at all. But what was the policy prior to that for the teacher? Was there an hourly rate that was set aside for those individuals? Was that covered under the grant that we got that year? How exactly did we come to this conclusion that we need to pay more for I thought the instructor was going to be going out on the truck. I thought that was part of the deal. Is it going to be so much per week that this is validated? I guess I want to have this full discussion. You're on mute, bud.
Sorry. for the 2 years ago, for the last 2 years, last year, we didn't take it out at all because of the pandemic. The year before that, we did have a grant cover our instructors and for students to pay the students. Well, that grant money has expired, and we have not received any grant funding for this year. And we're hoping that maybe next year it'll come available again. So, you know, the instructors 2 years ago did not go out on a truck. Amber Ott took the truck out, and we paid her through the grants and as well as the students. Now the grants aren't there, and it's extra, you know, it's a Saturdays and Sundays that the trucks are going out. So we, you know, came up with the formula to pay our instructor or whoever's going to volunteer to go out or to work the truck, whether they have a surf safe or not a surf safe, you know, a stipend to be out there on and get that truck out there.
Don't you need one serve safe employee on the truck to?
Yes.
So no
Yes,
matter
there has-
what, it's gonna be one serve safe employee on the truck.
Yes.
And do you have more than one on a truck? This is like a small truck, when you have all the students here. Do you have more than one employee on there, or do you usually just have one?
Well, there's usually probably two employers and a few students, because not everybody's in the truck. We're outside the truck as well. Depending on the type of event, we may be setting up tables where we're putting the product on the table and the students would be collecting from the table. This particular weekend, I believe there will be a few hundred people, so they're gonna be coming up to the truck and as well as the table to try to get the product out quicker. So that we're gonna need more hands on deck. But usually there's only one or two in the truck preparing the food, and then they're setting it out the windows on tables to help the speed up the process.
And you may have two serve safe employees on there at the same time.
We may, yes, but we by law we need to have one.
So, what was the rate that, through the grant that, we were paying Amber Ott when she was doing it?
I don't know what the rate was during the grant time. Tracy, do you have an idea what it may have been? I don't remember. I can find out and let you know.
Tracy's gonna look it up.
And
Any other
I
questions?
guess the only thing, when you say, did you say there would be two on the truck and then some outside of the truck for this upcoming event? Did I catch that right?
Depends on the event, I would guess. Depends how much staff you need for the event. If it's a smaller event, you would need
Yeah,
less
what
staff.
would the staff outside the truck do?
Well,
You just said.
So they're students,
Oh,
so they're
students.
rotating, I'm sure, in and out of the truck. I was at an event where they were at, and there was two students in the truck and one adult. There was one adult outside the truck with the students. And as you said, there was tables set up, so as the soups and stuff and the fries came out of the window, there's students standing to serve them at the table, so people weren't crowding in front of the.
Okay, got it.
25.
25 an hour?
And are all the students volunteer too, or are they paid as well?
So this year, the students will be volunteering and it will be part of their community service.
So, Tracy just said that it was, 25 an hour, so, and she's serve safe, so, I mean, I would suggest making it the 25 an hour for serve safe, since that's what we were paying under the grant. And then, the non-serve safe, I don't know if it makes
I can
sense to
keep
do
it
the
there.
20 or the, what?
To keep 20.
Yeah, the 25,
We need people to want to go,
right,
you know, so.
but
to
I
some
mean, that's
degree.
fine, so do you wanna make it 25? for
I think
that?
25 is fair. If that's what we were paying her last year, you know, I don't,
2 years ago.
2019.
2 years ago. Well, if you guys want to change it after I'm gone, you guys are welcome to do that. But I would suggest that we make it the next $25 that you were paying Amber. I feel that's fair at the moment. I mean, frankly, you could make the argument the way the hiring is and stuff, but at the same time, 25 is fine for now, and I'm fine with that.
So I'm hearing what amounts to a motion to amend item 7D, DAA to $25 per hour.
Yes,
Okay.
that's on the primary motion,
I'll
yes.
second his motion.
Motion to amend. Okay.
Okay, let's vote on the amendment. to change the service rate from $30 to $25. Right?
Yep.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we vote on the full package now?
Unless there's more discussion, I guess.
More discussion on the full package?
We took care of the billing thing, right?
Yep.
All right.
We're good?
Good.
Okay, and this is a motion to approve the rest of the consent calendar, which includes the minutes, financial reports, and the rest of the bills payable. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion carries. Next item. We need a motion to approve the revised policies 215, 224, and 22, and to delete 225 and 805.1 as distributed and discussed on September. This is the final read on these, Michael?
On the second, yes.
So
I'll make a motion.
this is a motion to approve the final, okay?
I'll make a motion.
Read. In a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions or comments on these policies? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And that motion carries. Is that it?
It's business.
That's it for the next agenda. Now, at this point, there's another opportunity for recognition and comments from the audience. Do we have any comments?
Hi, Kaylin.
Oh, hey, are you asking me to make a public comment? No, I'm totally kidding. That was a joke, guys. That was totally a joke. Hi, guys.
Anything? All right. The next section would be announcements. The next regular JSC board meeting is scheduled for November 18, 2021, here in the JSC room and virtual Zoom. And we're also having an open house here on November 4th, which will be in person. We're also announcing another meeting.
Well,
I do have a question though. When are you guys? When is the food going to be available again for the public? The dining services.
The dining restaurant, yeah.
When was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Dr. Herrera or Chris G, either one of you have the schedule when the restaurant's open? Or the salon, I'm sure Caitlin would like to come get her hair did. Yeah.
I did. I've once come there to get a pedicure, and it was superb service. So I would love to know when that's going to happen again.
Thursdays and Fridays for the cause. And
Restaurant and then we're just.
hit the microphone.
I'm sorry.
The restaurant, we're getting up and running at this time with our students and the faculty, and then after that, it's gonna be open up to the public shortly after. So we're almost there.
Okay.
Are you saying that you need test subjects? Because I'd be more than happy to offer my services.
I think we're gonna do that with our faculty and staff first, shortly after that.
You know, I know sometimes you guys aren't so crowded there in the restaurant when you guys are open, and, you know, some days may go by, you know, not too many people come in and out. Have you guys ever given much thought to, like, you know, giving out free tickets to lunch to like the Grundy House, like, you know, give out so many so that we can get people to come in? Grundy House is just like a retirement, it's a retirement community, right? And like just things like that where we can make sure that we have people come in for the students to serve, and that way when they're here, maybe they're not just you know, I don't want to say standing around because that's, you know, undignified. But it'll actually have more volume in here. And even though they're not spending $7 for lunch or breakfast or whatever it is, maybe we could subsidize that because the kids are bringing value up.
And Mr. Ogmonowitz, we've been, you know, I've been thinking about that service occupational area of the school. It's very, very difficult at this because our AM students are exiting our school at 11 o'clock and our PM students aren't coming back in and getting back into the class until 11:30. And that's right at the, you know, right at the best time for lunch. So you have our AM kids coming in at 8:15, 8:30, going until like first lunch is at 10:35, right, Mr. G? And then 10:35, they go until 11:20, they leave. Then you have that gap of a half hour before the PM kids start coming in. And then we're looking at, you know, at noon, and then the gap, that hour gap between that 11:15 till 12:15, that's your main lunchtime. And you're bringing in new students to try to get that restaurant going again for 45 minutes, if that, at tops, because then the kids start cleaning up again at 2:15. You know, so, you know, we've been batting around different ideas. It's too early to disclose what we're thinking there, but, you know, it would disrupt the 3 sending districts totally. So I don't want to even get into that aspect right now, but
I'm just saying, if our students are doing a bunch of work for 3 people to come in for lunch, you might as well have them do it for 12 people because they're going to take more from that. It's, you know, students working with volume and stuff. So that's all I was just trying to say.
yeah, we're promoting. I mean, we're promoting it pretty well, and we're going to use it. We're going to use, you know, we're using our, like Mr. G has mentioned, we're using our staff and faculty, you know, trying out the product before we put it out into the public. So when we do put it out to the public, they're going to want to come back for more.
Thanks for hearing my suggestions.
Thank you.
Hey, did you have the salon dates too, when that was opening?
Mondays and Thursdays.
It's already open now. There you go, Caitlin, Mondays and Thursdays.
Noted, thank you.
Sorry.
Thursday and Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Thursdays and Fridays.
Do you have the exact time for that?
It's by appointment, but Mrs. K, and I think the best thing, it sounds like a tour is that if I'd be happy to give you a tour and walk through that with you too, Mrs. Mitchell. But we really will go through Mrs. K and Mrs. Mandato just to make sure that they're taking like reservations, et cetera, so that there's not a buildup of people. So, but we'd be happy to host you if you'd like a tour, and we can go over that. And Mrs. Grouchin too, we would love to have you and visit, and for the tour, it would be our honor and pleasure. I know I believe you've been on campus. So.
Okay. Are we done?
Yes.
That moved us into joint committee concerns. Any more JOC member concerns, comments? And I'm not hearing any. The final item would be a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
Do
motion.
you need to, we don't need to, and I want to come down with Tom. Okay.
So who led the motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Marco. And moved and second that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned.